I should start by saying I'm not the kind of person who scares easily. I've been a journalist for nearly 2 decades, covering crime, war zones, and natural disasters. I've seen bodies pulled from rivers and walked through burned-out villages. But what I experienced in the abandoned Dover mine is the only thing that has ever left me with nightmares so real I wake up screaming. And the worst part? It's all documented. The Dover mine in Pennsylvania was once one of the largest anthracite coal mines in the region. It opened in 1895 and ran until 1963, when a catastrophic collapse killed more than 40 miners. Officially, the company shut it down due to unsafe conditions, but locals whispered a different story. They said the mine wasn't closed because of the collapse. It was closed because something had been uncovered deep below ground. Workers reported hearing voices in the tunnels, voices that called them by name. Others claimed to see figures moving in the dark, miners without faces, carrying lanterns that glowed red instead of yellow. And then there were the screams. People living in the nearby town swore they heard them at night echoing up from the earth, dozens of men shrieking, begging, burning. After the collapse, the mine was sealed. But teenagers being teenagers, it became a dare. Sneak into the tunnels, spend the night, and prove you weren't afraid. By the late 70s, at least 6 kids had vanished after going in. Only their flashlights and jackets were ever recovered. Police chalked it up to accidents, unstable ground, maybe drugs. But locals had another explanation. They said the devil lived in Dover mine now. Fast forward to 2018. I was freelancing for a magazine doing a series on America's most haunted places. Dover came up again and again in my research. So, with a photographer named Alicia and a local historian, Mark, I drove into the quiet Pennsylvania hills to find out for myself. The entrance was nothing more than a rusted metal gate across a yawning black hole in the hillside. The Keep Out signs had been torn away years ago. Cold air poured from the opening, smelling of wet stone and rusted iron. Mark wouldn't go inside. He stayed by the truck, pale and shaking. "They'll follow you back out," he warned us. "Once you hear them, you can't unhear them." Alicia laughed it off. I wish I had, too. Inside, the tunnels were silent except for the drip of water. Our flashlights cut across walls of coal, carved by hand a century ago. The deeper we went, the colder it grew, like walking into a freezer. Half a mile in, we found the first marker, a helmet fused into the rock wall, not hanging, not wedged, melted. "Explosion?" Alicia asked, her voice trembling. But there were no scorched marks, only the smooth black shape of a helmet fused, as if the wall itself had swallowed it. That's when the whisper started. At first I thought it was Alicia mumbling behind me, but when I turned, her mouth was closed. Her eyes were wide. The whisper grew louder. Not words exactly, more like the sound of breath forcing its way through clenched teeth. But beneath it, faintly, I swear I heard my name. 2 hours into the tunnels, Alicia's camera malfunctioned. Every photo she took came out warped. The images stretched and bent as if something was pulling them sideways. She snapped one last picture, cursed, and lowered the camera. That's when she saw something down the tunnel. A figure, standing maybe 30 feet away. It looked like a miner, but wrong. Too tall, spine bent backward at an impossible angle. In one hand, it held a lantern, but instead of warm yellow light, it glowed deep red, like burning coals. The figure didn't move, didn't speak, but the glow from its lantern began to pulse, like a heartbeat. And then Alicia screamed. She swore she felt hands clutching at her arms, clawing from the darkness. But when I swung my light toward her, nothing was there. Only scratches down her skin, fresh and bleeding. When we looked back, the figure was gone. We finally reached the chamber where the 1963 collapse had occurred. The roof was jagged, timber supports snapped like toothpicks. But there was something else. Symbols, carved in the walls, in a circle, spirals, crosses, shapes I couldn't recognize. They weren't miner's marks. They looked older. In the center of the chamber was a pile of helmets, dozens of them stacked neatly, each one cracked down the middle, as if the heads inside had split open. The whispers became screams, not distant this time, but all around us, dozens of voices, men shrieking in agony, calling for help, begging to be let out. Alicia dropped her camera and clamped her hands over her ears. I tried to grab her, but the ground shook violently, rocks tumbling from the ceiling. And then I saw it. It wasn't a man. It wasn't even close. From the coal wall itself, something began to push through, like a body trapped behind glass. First a face, featureless and smooth, except for a mouth stretched too wide. Then hands, long and jagged, clawing their way into our world. The lantern glow returned, bathing the chamber in blood-red light. I heard my name again, not whispered this time, roared, "Daniel!" The thing surged forward. Alicia bolted toward the tunnel. I followed, but not before glancing back one last time. The chamber was full of them, dozens of miners, their bodies twisted, faces melted smooth, lanterns burning red, and behind them, something larger, something still forcing its way out of the rock. We ran blind through the tunnels, chased by screams that rattled the stone. Our lights flickered, threatening to die. I don't remember how we found the exit, only that suddenly the cold air was gone, replaced with the sticky heat of summer night. Mark was gone. The truck was still there, engine off, doors open, but no sign of him. Alicia refused to speak for the entire drive back. Her arms were covered in bruises shaped like fingers. When we developed Alicia's photos, every single one showed the same thing, the chamber wall, symbols glowing faint red, and behind them, faces, dozens of faces pressed into the stone, screaming. 2 weeks later, Alicia vanished. She went back to Pennsylvania alone. Her car was found near Dover Mine. Her camera was in the passenger seat. The final photo showed the tunnel entrance and a red lantern burning inside. It's been years, but the nightmares haven't stopped. I hear the whispers in my apartment sometimes, in the static of my TV, in the hum of my refrigerator. Last week I woke to find coal dust scattered across my bedroom floor. If you're reading this, don't go looking for Dover Mine. Don't chase the story. Don't listen if you hear your name. Because once it calls you, it never lets go.